Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. I hope you had a great weekend. Well, a lot of drama this weekend. A lot of drama. We're going to dive into it. You know the deal, guys. We are the signal without the slop. And I guess that kind of makes us a little irrelevant. And that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind. Anyways, let's dive into the stories that we are going to be taking a look at. So, for the Hopium. That's right, the mysterious copper gold ratio. Another chart, another relationship. Could this be the one that we can follow? Spoiler, it most likely isn't. But it's going to provide some solid hopium, and we are here for it. We've got some Saylor comments. That's right. He did a podcast with, I think it was Grant Cardone, and he said a whole bunch of magic words. We've got a nice little clip of him saying lots of lovely things that we enjoy, and we are going to take a look at that. This Andrew Tate video. Yeah, he's the fail. He's definitely the fail. So apparently, if you weren't paying attention, and I'm not going to be showing the video of it because he gets enough engagement. But apparently, Bitcoin hodlers are going to go to jail. So we're gonna take a look at that ridiculous nonsense. Eternal paper Bitcoin. Not too much happened over the weekend, right? Not too much happened. We are going to take a look. What is it? We've got Harvard with an announcement, and for adoption. Steak and Shake updates. That's right. Steak and Shake making moves. Also, we've got a university that plans to launch a master's in Bitcoin and El Salvador's Bitcoin Diploma 2.0. And of course, how could we have an episode after this weekend, after all the drama, without talking about the Epstein connection to Bitcoin? And I mean, if you've been in the space for any amount of time, that particular connection is no surprise. However, as Lola Leeds pointed out in the Rage article, there is new information to add to it, and we're going to be covering that. Guys, you know the deal. Going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, Archimedes Emporium, and we're going to be right back. Let's do it. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right, guys, let's dive right into it. Here we go. The previous three low signals in the copper gold ratio marked the beginning of the Bitcoin bull run. We now have a fourth low signal in this ratio. You know what that means, guys? According to this chart, we're going to go to the moon soon. Right, that's it. Look, you can see the correlations here. As you've got the gold copper ratio bottoming, you've got Bitcoin hitting new highs all the way up here. I appreciate these kind of charts and this kind of correlation. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I hope it's right. Obviously, I hold Bitcoin, so I hope it's right. But guess what? Look, if that doesn't do it for you, check this out, guys. We've got the signal of signals, the Cramer signal. Jim Cramer says we have entered bear market territory. So get ready, guys. New all-time highs just around the corner. He's been a pretty solid counter indicator for Bitcoin. So, all right, I'll take it. All right. So a little bit more zoom out action to make us feel a little bit better here about what's going on. The current correction of minus 25% for BTC is actually smaller than the other two large corrections, minus 32% and minus 33% of this cycle. But sentiment is significantly worse now. Why do you think this is? It's because humans, we get used to things, okay? We get used to things. And what is that from that 80s song? Familiarity breeds contempt. That's what that is. I don't know. I can't disagree with that. You know, like the longer I'm in the space, the less I care. It's like, you know, once we hit 100K, I was just sitting there like, and then, yeah. So it's just par for the course, guys. But look, when you zoom out, okay, this is a whole lot of noise. So just if you understand Bitcoin's qualities, you're down for the censorship resistance, you're down for the hard cap, you're down for the fact that the government doesn't control it or issue it, then hey, you're going to stack. You're going to stack because you appreciate those qualities and you believe that those qualities will preserve your time value into the future going forward better than anything else. That's all. See, when I frame it like that, I don't end up falling for all this ridiculous hopium. But hey, right? Zoom out. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. All right, well, what's going on? Yeah, I know, right? Cramer. Hey, you know what? When I started buying equities when I was like 18, 19 years old, right? This is like 30 years ago. You know, Cramer was cool. No, I'm kidding. He was never cool, but he was definitely entertaining. He was 100% entertaining. I really appreciated his podcast. Well, to me, it was a podcast because that was the only way I could get access to it was Mad Money. And I used to love listening to people calling in and stuff like that. But make no mistake, right? I learned very quickly that, you know, this guy's just a salesman. And I ended up learning that because of one of my first extremely successful investments. Which was MasterCard. And this was long before Bitcoin ever existed. And yeah, you know, like he was shitting, he was poo-pooing on MasterCard. He was poo-pooing on Visa and talking about all their debt and these businesses can't scale and all that stuff. And he was dead wrong. And if you listen to him, right, then you missed out, right? You missed out on MasterCard and Visa, which was one of the most obvious plays before Bitcoin existed in terms of, profiting from the money printer on the retail side, right? Because let's be honest, the more money there is in circulation, the more MasterCard and Visa, the credit card networks, get a piece of it. So obviously their number is just going to continue to go up as well. It was just a no-brainer. Anyways, so yeah. These are just cheerleaders, right? Just cheerleaders. All right. Sorry about the rant on that one. You could see that I have a lot of deep feelings about Cramer and his misleading. And I get it, right? He has led some people also to some good times as well. But he's also wrecked a lot of his listeners. Like he was telling people to buy Sears, and I'll never let that go because Sears, anybody who was paying attention knew miles away, you do not touch this retailer. This retailer is doing nothing but losing money hand over fist. And the only reason he told people to buy it was because his buddy was the CEO, Eddie Lampert. And Eddie Lampert was going to be the next Warren Buffett, right? He's going to be the next Warren Buffett, and Sears was going to be the next Berkshire Hathaway. No, it wasn't. No, exactly, Salty Crayon Sears, right? It's like, come on. This is nonsense. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can't help it. This is what happens, old people ranting. All right, anyway, old person ranting. Okay, so more hopium, guys. More hopium. Fear and greed index, extreme fear. Everybody's afraid. Bitcoin's going to zero. I see people talking about there's blood in the streets. Bitcoin's sitting at 93.9. Blood in the streets. Come on, man. This isn't blood. It's like scratches. These are like scratches in the street. Okay, that's it. No blood right now. This isn't blood. Okay, anyways, let's Andrew Tate. We're not even gonna. Oh no, wait. Sorry, guys. Before we go to the Andrew Tate stuff, I apologize. I missed out on something very important. Let's take a look at this quick clip between Saylor and Gary Cardone and Grant Cardone from his podcast.
Bitcoin goes in this cycle right here. If it goes any lower, where does it go?
I think it's pretty stable where it is right now. Yeah. I mean, most of the liquidation selling is out of the system. I think we should rally from here.
And then where do you think it ends?
I don't believe in 4-year cycles anyway. I mean,
I never believed in the 4-year cycle.
I think that they might have had some credence in the first 12 years, but right now.
I love that. I love that Grant, who knows absolutely nothing about Bitcoin and is just here to freaking ride the engagement wave in order to build his business. He doesn't believe in the 4-year cycle. And again, the 4-year cycle, this is what I've said in the past. You got to think of it less as a 4-year cycle and much more as a human psychological cycle. Anyways.
The 4-year cycle is somehow based on the idea that 225 Bitcoin a day get taken out of the supply after the next halving. That's $22 million or $20 million of buying. trust me, $20 million of buying. The market traded 100 billion yesterday. 20 million is not even a third order issue at this.
So it kind of makes you wonder, right? If clearly more Bitcoin is being purchased than what is being mined, shouldn't we be at like insane levels? Shouldn't the value of a Bitcoin be significantly higher? Paper Bitcoin. Anyways.
At this point,
Yeah.
the dynamics in the market are much more that, Jerome Powell thinks he wants to hold interest rates higher for longer, right? It's macroeconomics, it's political, it's structural. When IBIT's derivatives market went from 10 billion to 50 billion, it did that in 4 weeks. I mean, so those kind of things, when JP Morgan, offers 10 or 100 billion dollars of loans against Bitcoin, that will dwarf the 4-year cycle. It's the actions of the mega finance actors that are determining the future of Bitcoin right now. And all the fundamentals are good. So my advice to anybody is, first of all, if you make decisions with a 12-month or less time frame, you're a trader.
Yeah.
If you're a trader,
Okay, I just want to point out that even though the wording says traitor, he's saying trader, right? Like with a D. Sorry.
you're a trader. I have zero advice for you. I'm not a trader. I'm not a good trader.
Yeah.
I don't purport to be. I have zero advice for you. On the other hand, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're an investor, you should have a time frame of 4 years or longer, 4 to 10 years.
Yeah. See, so it's not often, right, that I'll sit there and be like, yeah, Saylor, he's saying the right stuff. But this is one of those times, right, where he actually is giving good advice. And I think that's very important to look at Bitcoin in that way. I can tell you that when I first got into the space and I was not understanding and I was just wrapping my head around Bitcoin and altcoins and all of this stuff, to me, it was like, well, everybody else is just making millions of dollars holding on to something for a few months. So this whole idea of holding on to Bitcoin for 4 years or 6 years or 10 years was just, at least when I first came to the space, I was like, no, I'm like, that's nonsense, right? Like they're just trying to get you to bag hold. But what ends up happening is, at least what ended up happening for me, is that slowly and painfully, right, after 99 or 98% declines in my altcoins and seeing Bitcoin essentially be able to hold a bottom and create support, I recognized immediately that I was completely mistaken in my framing. So I appreciate this. I appreciate this stuff, Saylor. And yeah, the 4-year cycle, I can definitely say at the beginning of this bull run, I was much more like, yeah, the 4 cycles, they're never, it's not ending. And the more that I paid attention to it, the more I came to the conclusion that it just had much more to do with human psychology. And I ended up changing my opinion on it. And look, in all fairness, if the massive drawdown aspect of the 4-year cycle goes away, right? If that aspect of it goes away, I don't really consider it the worst thing in the world. Now, I know for people who are stacking, that sucks, right? Because then you're not getting these opportunities with the 70 and the 80% declines. But for those of us that were stacking before and have continued to stack, kind of works out for us. So anyways, can't make everybody happy all the time, right? Can only make some people happy some of the time. It's just the reality of things. Anyways, Andrew Tate. Like I said, I'm not gonna show the video because he gets already enough attention. And all he's doing in the end is shilling 2 shitcoins, right? He's just shilling you privacy shitcoins. So yeah, he's saying Bitcoin hodlers will go to jail. And of course, he's painting this picture of, the government with AI is going to go and scan through the entire Bitcoin blockchain because, the government has that kind of, that kind of presence, right? No, it doesn't. The other piece to it that I found interesting is this. We have to pick a side, right? We cannot have Schrodinger's government, where the government is extremely nefarious, sophisticated, and able to pinpoint multiple data points all across in order to focus in on you being a criminal, but also at the same time, the government is so completely inept and incapable that it's broke. It runs a deficit. They can't get out of their own way. You've got government shutdowns, right? Like, so there's got to be some point, right, where the logic starts to make sense, right? Either the government isn't entirely, maybe the government isn't entirely sophisticated and they're not entirely incompetent, right? Maybe it's a bit of both. Could be that. But look, the reality is, I don't see the government doing any of that. And obviously, if you watch that video, you know that all he's doing is shilling you. He's shilling you 2 privacy tokens, right? But what he's doing is that he's getting you to do the work. This is just, it's basic engagement tactics. I genuinely feel bad for anybody that falls, for this BS. We did get some interesting takes though as well. So Lola responded back. She actually retweeted it and said, Andrew Tate says AI will be used to scan the blockchain for money laundering and the governments will trace every transaction for tax evasion. It's funny because it's true, right? And she cited this post right here. A vast new data set could supercharge the AI hunt for crypto money laundering. So, I mean, look, the idea that the government isn't going to use all of its capability to attempt to find criminals, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I 100% think that they're going to do that, and I believe that they're going to be able to find and stop the most obvious money laundering cases where the participants did not pay to play. Because you'll notice that that's how it works when it comes to bank fraud and money laundering and money transmission without a license, right? It's all about, have you paid to play? The players like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all of them and their illegal dealings and the fact that they facilitated money laundering, that's fine. They can afford to pay the fee. But if you're somebody like Keone Rodriguez, right? From Samurai, well, we're going to have to make an example out of you. Okay. Now, this perspective, I actually I find to be very interesting. I work for the government tax collector's office. Our computers are so old they run AS400 with a black screen and green letters, keyboard commands only, no mouse capability. So yeah, AI won't be here for another 50 years. And in all fairness, I know that people want to think like, yeah, that's not true. Having visited multiple, not just governments, but other agencies and stuff like that, I can tell you that, yeah, a lot of that infrastructure is really antiquated, because if you're not in IT or you're not predispositioned to IT, then you may not know this, but it takes a lot of planning and it costs a lot of money to upgrade infrastructure and to upgrade mainframes. Okay, it takes a lot of money to do all of this stuff, right? And not only that, but the planning that goes into this, quite often, you have to create sandboxes and test beds. Like, we're talking a year, 2 years, testing every single feature, every single integration. I'm honestly, I'm not worried. I'm really not actually worried about the government coming after every single Bitcoin hodler. Okay, so yeah. Andrew Tate is just really good at engagement. I do feel bad again for the people that fall for his nonsense. Anyways, yeah, don't fall for that. It's just garbage. It's all just garbage. Okay, so not much going on with Eternal Paper Bitcoin this weekend, right? We've got this post here from Eric Balkunas. Just checked, and yeah, IBIT is now Harvard's largest position in its 13F and its biggest position increase in Q3. Womp, womp. No surprise that they're buying paper Bitcoin. We are not surprised. Those are the vehicles they have access to. Okay. I'm liking this stuff. I'm liking what we're seeing out of Steak and Shake here, right? It's good stuff. So Steak and Shake, right? They're going to be, it looks like they're planning on opening a location in El Salvador. That's, I think that's pretty cool. And I mean, people know that, you know, if you've watched this show enough, you know that I am a critic of El Salvador, but in the same way that I'm a critic of any government, right? I'm just not going to buy that governments are going to do the right things for their populations, unless there is some specific incentive for them to do so. Otherwise, they're going to take advantage whenever they can. But take a look at that, right? Bitcoiners, right? Give ourselves a little hand of some applause. Bitcoiners, help that Steak and Shake. You know what? People could say whatever they want, but Steak and Shake's same store, the same store quarterly numbers don't lie. And, you know, if you've been paying attention to social media, they have been extremely grateful and been very supportive of the space. Why? Because it's a mutually positive relationship. It's good stuff. Hesperides University to launch the Master in Bitcoin, the first English-speaking higher education program dedicated exclusively to Bitcoin studies. I do appreciate this. I think it's cool. The only piece about it that I'm going to criticize, only because I just don't know yet, I am very curious to see what the material is going to be that they are going to be suggesting for this course. So far from what I saw from that other course, the one in Florida or something like that, it was just like, you know, Adam Livingston's books and Saifedean's Bitcoin Standard. I think there's a lot better books that people could be reading for this, right? Even something as simple as The Creature from Jekyll Island, When Money Dies, The Sovereign Individual, Atlas Shrugged, right? Like, I don't know. I get it. It's a good way to sell the Bitcoin books. But anyways, yeah, I do think it's nice that there's going to be a course, because at the very least it offers a framework, and people like frameworks, right? I like frameworks, right? I like to know that, hey, you know, I can go through this list and I can expect a certain degree of base level knowledge when I have completed this. So, hey, why not? Yeah, it's good stuff. But there's more courses. There's more courses coming up, guys. Way more. All right. The Bitcoin Diploma version 2.0 announced for El Salvador. So there you go. During the presentation at Bitcoin Historico, WeSpark founder Nelson Eno announced the launch of an improved version of the Diploma program that aims to accelerate the adoption of the digital currency. So we can see, you know, El Salvador quietly putting all this stuff together. And as much as I'm not moving to El Salvador or any of that, I do appreciate what I'm seeing. That is good stuff. And in all fairness, every single person I know that has gone there has had nothing but good things to say. The only people I know, I shouldn't say that I know, but the only places where I have read that it's not so great is a couple of personal accounts from some people who moved out there. So somewhere in between there is the reality of things, right? Hey, yeah, that's right. Bitcoin for Kiddos. Yep, they're super cool. Bobby Flay, something like that. Yeah, him and his wife. I remember. I had them. I remember when I was on when I did Simply Bitcoin, we had them on the show, and I think we had them on Pleb Underground way when I first started. Okay. Now the big thing everybody's been crying about. Oh no, Bitcoin was created by evil people. Oh, Bitcoin's captured. Da, da, da. Okay, so look, if you're worried about Bitcoin being created by evil people, okay, you might want to stop using the internet. You may want to stop using your cell phone. There's actually a whole lot of different technologies you may just want to not use, right? Unfortunately, there's people with good and bad intentions everywhere. Some of them have a shitload of money. Some of them don't. Give me a sec, guys. I'm just pulling all this stuff up here so I can get it ready. Yeah, exactly. I just saw that comment. Roman. Stop using the freeways. Hey, you know what? Criminals are breathing air too. You know, some of the people that you hate are also breathing. They're also drinking water. Got to be careful. You don't want to be drinking the same water as the criminals. It's all such nonsense, guys. It is really all such nonsense. Okay, so let's dive into it, right? So here we go. The Rage Tech reports that newly released emails show Jeffrey Epstein helped MIT Media Lab director Joichi Ito fund MIT's Digital Currency Initiative, DCI. Some of Epstein's donations money went to DCI. Money to DCI went directly to fund Bitcoin core development. And of course, right, this is obviously being used by as well. I saw some Knots supporters, be like, you see, guys, you realize you're using forked code, right? Right? You're using that code. So yeah, it's just this is why it's pure stupidity. Anyways, so here, let's dive into it. So FYI, used gift funds to underwrite this, which allowed me to move quickly and win this round. So here we go. The way that Bitcoin is organized currently is that there are 5 core developers and around 100 contributors to the core code. The 5 core developers are like Linus Torvalds of Linux. They decide what changes are made to the core code. One of the 5 is the lead developer, Vladimir, and one is the chief scientist, Gavin. Gavin, Vladimir, and Corey, an important contributing developer, were being paid out of the nonprofit organization called the Bitcoin Foundation. A few weeks ago, it blew up when one of the board members declared the foundation bankrupt. Sorry. Many organizations scrambled to step into the vacuum created by the foundation and take control of the developers. We moved quickly, talking to all of the various stakeholders, and the 3 developers decided to join the Media Lab. This is a big win for us. Okay, so here we go. So Nick Carter, this is a retweet from Lola, right? So Nick Carter, who's quote-unquote influencer in the space, Castle Island Ventures, all that good stuff. So this has been known for years. The MIT DCI is not Bitcoin Core, is not Bitcoin. Like, yes, we know about that particular connection. So here's what Lola had to say in rebuttal. It truly is a blessing that by a rule of thumb, the dumbest people in the space have somehow managed to acquire the most followers. I'm not going to disagree with that. So let me set this straight. It has not been previously known that Epstein directly funded the Digital Currency Initiative. This is true. It has also not been known that the money gifted by Epstein was directly used to fund Bitcoin Core developers, filling in for the Bitcoin Foundation. For me, this is also true. I did not realize that the Bitcoin Foundation had gone, quote unquote, bankrupt, and I didn't know that DCI stepped in to save them. So this was also new for me. What has been known is that Epstein donated to the Media Lab with connections to the DCI, merely suspected. The moral of the story is don't believe art-hearted influencers who told you to buy BlockFi. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I mean, look, I can't I can't disagree with Lola on this one. But guys, if you think that Bitcoin is this pristine, angelic type of digital asset, then you need to read back into history and you need to go back and figure out what Bitcoin was being used for. I've said this on countless occasions, right? When I first came to Bitcoin, I came to Bitcoin because I needed magic internet money, right? I was going and buying weed and hey, guess what? I needed to figure out a way to do it with less friction. I grew up in Montreal where nothing happens to you if you smoke weed. But guess what? You move to the States, certain states, your life is ruined, right? For nothing, unless you can afford the right lawyers. So guess what, right? Go and find a way to find a way to be able to purchase it. And even before that, right? There was a whole bunch of people. Prostitutes were using it, right? It's being used on the Silk Road, drugs, all kinds of stuff. So this whole idea that it is this pristine thing, like, guys, this is the money of enemies. Okay, censorship resistance is inconvenient. Okay, censorship resistance means people that you don't agree with, people that you can't stand, people that you wish maybe weren't alive are going to be using Bitcoin. They're going to be saving in Bitcoin. That is the price that we pay for an inconvenient freedom. Sorry. That's the way it works. Do I like that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with this? Hell no. You think that's bad? You got to go down the trail of Brock Pierce, right? Brock Pierce funded Tether. Brock Pierce contributed to Bitcoin. Brock Pierce also funded EOS. You got to go take a look. You got to take a look at his connections to the Holly weird pedophilia stuff, right? He became a groomer. There's a whole documentary about it, right? Where and it's not like some YouTube documentary. It's a real. I shouldn't say it's a real documentary, but I'm just saying, right? Like, it has multiple sources, and the point is that he was, unfortunately, right? He was abused as a kid, as a child star, and then he became a groomer and started to bring in other kids into Hollyweird. So there's all of these weird connections, guys. Terrible people, or let me rephrase that. Maybe people that are not so terrible, that are just doing absolutely horrible things. But I personally believe terrible people. It's my personal opinion. And guess what? They're going to be using Bitcoin. Nothing can stop them, right? Nothing can stop them. It's really important to understand what money of enemies means to you, and what freedom and what censorship resistance means, right? It's not just censorship resistant for you. It's not just censorship resistant for me. It's censorship resistant for the people I don't agree with and that you don't agree with. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us for today. Bitcoin is dead. Long live Bitcoin. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a good one.